Good evening. We'll call the steering committee meeting to order. First item on our agenda is the reading and approval of the minutes, and we'll call on Vice Chair Brad Turner.
Mr. Chairman, I've had an opportunity to review the notes through our email. I find them to be in order, and I make a motion for their approval.
If a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. At this time, we need to fill 2 vacancies and 1 alternate vacancy on the beer board. We do have 2 applicants this evening. Mr. Travis Johnson is currently serving as an alternate and is applying for the open position on the beer board. Looks like he has 1 really good reference, Lisa Crowell, and an okay reference, Commissioner Robert Stevens, excuse me. So is Mr. Johnson in our audience? Mr. Johnson, would you like to address the board?
Yes, sir. Members of the committee, Chairman. Again, I'm already an alternate on the beer board, so I just had the opportunity to step up and be a full-time member of that committee. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Our other applicant is Mr. William Hopper. He is also an alternate on the beer board. He has 1 really good reference, Mr. Tim Rudd, and an okay reference, Mr. Paul Johnson. So is Mr. Hopper in the audience?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to address the...
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I've been on the alternate for my term and have really missed a meeting. And it's very important that we encourage the owners to card the people who come in and buy a beer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hopper?
I have a question for both of them.
Okay.
I forgot to ask Mr. Johnson, how many years you been an alternate?
They just started this year, whatever the term was.
One year?
One term.
2 years or 2 terms?
One term.
2 years.
2 years.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the floor for these 2 open positions on the beer board?
Could you refresh my memory as to why we have an opening?
I would suppose that either term is up or...
Lisa, you know.
I do. These are 2-year terms, and we currently have 2 openings, and because their terms are up, the current beer board members have chosen not to reapply, and the 2 alternates have chosen to apply.
Thank you.
And the chair will take a motion at this time.
I make a motion that we cease the nominations and we move forward with these 2 candidates by a vote of acclamation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, what are we voting on again? I thought we had 1 opening.
No, sir.
We have 2 open.
And 1 alternate.
Thank you for correcting me.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, and we appreciate your service. Your name will be submitted to the full county commission not this Thursday night, but the next Thursday night. We did not have any applicants for the alternate position, so I guess we would re-announce that at this time. Next, we need to fill a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have 2 applicants at this time, Mr. Jerry Sartain and Mr. Travis Johnson. I think Mr. Sartain has served on this board for several years, but would you like to address our committee at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've served on this board since 1992. I currently serve as the vice chairman, and if you folks feel that I've done a good job, I appreciate a reappointment. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Travis Johnson?
This is my second time applying for the board. I applied a few months back, I believe, and that was at the time. An alternate was also applying, and you guys approved him. So I did make an attempt to apply again today. I do, again, I am a real estate appraiser by trade, so I feel like my career and my could offer a fresh perspective to the Board of Zoning Appeals going forward. So I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicants? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Make a motion that we nominate them both one.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Negative. Okay.
Motion passes, and then we'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Mr. Sartain?
Commissioner McAdoo,
Carrie Sartain.
Commissioner P,
Sartain.
Commissioner Phillips,
Sartain.
Commissioner Stevens,
Sartain.
Commissioner Turner,
Sartain.
Commissioner Gooch.
Mr. Sartain.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Sartain. Your name will be presented to the full county commission this month. Okay, there's our appointment of two judicial commissioners, Ms. Jessica Willis and Ms. Christina.
Withenmeyer.
Thank you. So we'll just take a motion to send those to the full commission.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We need to approve the ratification of the Purchasing Private Act, and that was sent to the state legislature.
Yes,
And
and they approved it, and they sent it back to us, and the commission has until December the 1st to ratify this and send it back to them. And we'll let Mr. Christensen, if you would, Mr. Chairman, address this matter, please.
Yeah, I'd be happy to address the board. Myself and Josh McCreary, the county attorney, we reviewed this and hashed it out with the mayor and Lisa Nolan looking over this. And the private act has already been approved by the General Assembly, and again, is sent back down to you all for ratification. Following it being approved by the General Assembly, it came to our attention that there was a citation error towards the latter part of the private act, but it's not anything substantive. It doesn't change anything of really any worth or merit, other than we have to fix it. That doesn't prohibit this board, nor are we saying that you shouldn't ratify it. The private act as approved by the General Assembly can be ratified. And in fact, Ms. Nolan brought to our attention that there is the mayor's office and the financing office are wanting to make a second change to the purchasing act, which we can do in January. Namely, is to increase the amount of money that would be the bar for doing a bid, raising it from $10,000 to $25,000. At current, in the purchasing act that was approved by the General Assembly, it has a $10,000 bar, and then anything in excess of that requires a solicitation of bids. That's been raised to $25,000 pursuant to state law, and that was done, or that was wanted after we'd already gotten this approval of the current form of the private act. So we need to make those two changes. The first, with the citation, is just a housekeeping measure, and then the second is what was brought to our attention by Ms. Nolan to raise the bid amount. Those can be done in January, but right now you have before you a private act that's been approved by the General Assembly and just needs to be ratified by this board. I'll take any questions.
When you say pursuant to state law, speaking of, I assume you're speaking of the limit, 25,000?
That's correct.
Is that 20, I mean, the state laws, the bid cutoff is at 25,000?
Yeah.
Above that has to be bid out?
That's right.
Below?
So a year or two ago, state law was amended to increase that amount, and it's just not been reflected in our private act. And it was after we went through the new private act, went up to the General Assembly, that it was requested to change it and up it. So it's not currently in the private act as approved by the General Assembly, but it's something that in January, should the steering committee see fit to recommend it to the county commission to increase that, we would do the amendment at that time to raise it up to the $25,000.
You said there were two things, though. What was the second thing?
Yeah, the second thing is a citation that deals with the exclusion of the Board of Education from the requirements of the Purchasing Act. The citation refers to an old law that has since been repealed. About 60 years ago it was repealed, and it needs to be changed and updated, but it doesn't change anything of substance to the private act.
So right now, they don't have to adhere to the private act if we enacted it? Is that what you're saying?
They
You're saying
don't.
they would?
They don't adhere to our private act now,
That's right.
and this is ancient history that just is in there and needs to be taken out.
So if we change that after the first of the year?
Yes, that would be fine.
It's just basically two housekeeping measures.
Well, one's housekeeping. The second one, the commission will have to decide if you want to raise the $10,000 limit to 25 before we have to take public bids.
Anything else?
Law Department, fine with going ahead right now.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
And mayor's office is
Yes,
recommending.
we've had substantial discussion about this, and we're good to go, we believe.
Ratification would take 2/3 vote.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have two resolutions to approve. The privilege tax is authorized by Tennessee Code Annotated 674602G1 and 4024107A. Mr. Mayor?
Let me explain. We're currently using our privilege of each of these are $1, but these various statutes allow this to happen. We're putting in a new software system over there called Tensis, which is developed by the Administrative Office of the Courts, the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee, even though we're doing this, will not allow us to continue to do this unless the commission ratifies this. We have to have we cannot find the two resolutions that may have happened, but we can't locate them, to give us permission by the commission to actually collect this $1 in these two different cases. So this is again a technical cleanup, but the Administrative Office of the Courts, Tensis, says for them to continue to allow us to do this and put this in place, we need to get commission authority. And so that's just all this is about. We cannot find the commission authority but we've been charging these two for a long time, way before I got here. That's a simple answer here. Somehow this we're not able to discover authority, and we must have authority to do this.
Mayor, is this anything that's under litigation at this time?
No, sir, this is just I don't even know, one of these says certain identified criminal matters, another says certain circumstances. So I haven't even read the two statutes to see exactly what, but these are just there are dozens of these kinds of things in place out there as far as these fees and fines. And this is just two that are.
One of those took place, I think, in '98.
It may have, but we somehow haven't found, we've been through all of the commission records and we cannot find a resolution that was actually passed granting authority. Again, it's a cleanup and to put us in the proper position to continue this, what we've been doing.
So let's hope that we can leave here tonight with the legal authority to get this done. So is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is this on both of these items?
Both items.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Also, on your desk and your iPad, you will see a copy of the litigation list. And we have the deputy handbook from the Register of Deeds office, but she is submitting to this committee. And we'll put that in there for the record. Any other business? Josh McCrary had sent us an email, I think dated September 22nd, concerning our legal services agreement. And I think by January the 1st, some decisions need to be made if we're going to continue on. So that will be on our agenda next month. So if you have any questions, you should have received that email. If you have any questions, you might start asking those questions and be prepared for next month's meeting concerning that. And I believe the mayor has an announcement.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Dahlburn also said that if anyone on the committee or commission had questions, we could email her related to her handbook too.
Just for clarification, has this handbook been presented before the HR department and or the legal department?
The legal department, I'm not sure. That'd be a question for Josh.
It'd have to go for the legal department, I'd say. Or if they did some illegal things in there, Alan, it'd have to go. In my opinion, it'd have to go.
Well, I don't think it's been to HR. And I sent this.
I'm just asking. I mean, we've got an HR department that specializes in these kind of things. I think it'd be a wise thing to bounce it off them. Just wise. Don't say they have to, but I just think it'd be wise.
No, sir.
Okay, and legally?
Commissioner Phillips, I haven't reviewed it, I'm not sure if Josh has, but if you all would like us to, we'd be happy to look
Well,
at it.
I think all departments head has their handbook, the elected handbook, I'm
officials.
sorry. So I don't think she needs permission, but she's submitting it and it's here for our review and we can have a,
It's for your information.
it's basically for our information.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I was just asking.
Just curious.
Have they sent it for legal verification that whatever's in there is up to current state and federal employment laws?
Well, I don't think
Well-
they have according to the,
I think that may be a question for Mrs. Darwin. I did suggest that she do that. I don't know if she did. She said thank you, and I don't know actually if she had already passed that on to Mr. McCrary or not.
I'll contact her and see if she's willing to do that. Okay, let's see what this is. 4 7 members. Is this something that can be put on next month?
Well, it says announced November 5.
Okay, so just put that on the agenda for next month. Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Some time back, I mean, I think we were in some discussions about some matters, and it was disclosed, let's just say after the fact, that I have used Mr. McCrary and that firm for some estate planning work, legal work, and I want to disclose that that legal work is not finished. My estate planning work will take at least another year or more, so I wanted to tell you that that's ongoing. And we've discussed this continuation. I will also have to use some outside attorneys, some tax attorneys out of Nashville. So just want to let you guys know, read it into the record, please, Ms. Shelton, that we've had this discussion with Mr. McCrary, and we both do not think there's any conflict of interest here.
Thank you. Any other business? And that has been noted for the record, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.